Welcome to the JP8 Report. This is James Pierce with the JP8 Report, episode 298. So 298 means 299 is tomorrow at noon, since we're not doing a JP8 Report at 6:30. So Wednesday morning will be episode 300. Cool. All right. Thank you all very much for everyone that's tuning in for this afternoon's edition. I titled this Bongino press release is out. There's two of them. I will show you. All right. And before we get started, don't forget to click that follow button and then click that like button. Click the follow button if you're not already a follower of the JP8 Report, and then give us a thumbs up, which is like, even on X and YouTube and Facebook. And then also Rumble has this new thing called a tip button, and you'll see it on that block. If you feel like you want to leave me a tip, you can go in there and leave me a tip. It goes directly to me. It doesn't go through Rumble and stuff, but it's part of the Rumble wallet. They got debuted last week, so I got everything incorporated. So if you feel like you want to help me out, go for it. All right, I really appreciate that. So welcome to the JPA Report. We will start with the America 250 for the day. So I got two things for the 12th of January, 2026. As you are, 12th of January, 1776. The Brits attacked Rhode Island, Prudence Islands, and faced stiff resistance from the Rhode Island militia, and that demonstrated the future resolve of the colonial militias. All right. And then both sides were moving toward their winter quarters, because evidently back then they didn't fight in the wintertime like we fight 24/7 here in today's army, but they moved into winter quarters. And then I have a letter here. It's actually pretty good, from Samuel Chase to John Adams. All right. So hold on to your horses. And he didn't say that. I just did. My dear sir, hold on. Let me get the page right. It's barely one page. My dear sir, the business of our provincial convention draws to a conclusion, and the session will end in a few days. I will leave to visit my family before I set off for the Congress, and I expect to take you by the hand before 1st of February. I cannot omit, in the meantime, to express to you my opinion on the present state of our public affairs and the measures I would wish to be adopted. The early attention and great dependence on the Ministry of Canada evidence the finite importance of that country in the present dispute. To obtain the possession of that province is an objective of the first consequence. We must at all events procure and keep possession of that province. Quebec must at every hazard be ours. It sounds like the day, right? No succors can arrive there before the 1st of May, and I would have a chosen committee to go to Canada as soon as the lakes are frozen hard enough. Let them call a convention, explain the views and designs of Congress, and persuade them to send delegates there. Let a body of 6,000 Canadians and 2,000 colonists be embodied for the defense of that province. I think the success of the war will, in great measure, depend on securing Canada to our Confederation. I would earnestly recommend Charles Carroll, Esquire of Carrollton, of this province, to be one of your deputies to Canada. his attachment and zeal to the cause, his abilities, his acquaintance with the language, manners, and customs of France, and his religion, and the circumstance of a very great estate, all point out to that all the important service. My inclination to serve my country would induce me to offer my services, if I did not esteem myself unable to discharge the trust. I would have an army in the Massachusetts increased to 30,000. I would have 10,000 stationed in New York, and every proper place on the Hudson's River strongly secured by batteries of heavy cannon and obstructions in the river. A body of 3,000 should be stationed in middle colonies. I would exert every nerve to fit out a number of vessels from 10 to 30 guns. I would cruise for the India and Jamaican men. I would make prizes of every British vessel whenever found. I would, if possible, destroy the army at Boston, though the consequences should be certain destruction of the town. The colonies would either bear the loss or tax the damages and bill the cost. I would, from Canada, if practical, destroy the fur trade on the Hudson's Bay. In short, I would adopt every scheme to reproduce GB on our own terms, reduce Great Britain to our terms, whether to open or to continue our ports shut. I am undetermined. To starve the West Indies and to ruin the sugar trade ought not to be easily given up. I have this moment seen the King's speech. I am not disappointed. Just as I expected, I shall always be glad to hear from you directly to me in Frederick County. Make me remembered to your worthy colleagues, your affectionate and obedient servant, Samuel Chase. All right. Oh, yeah, by the way, my daughter and I put this together over the last few days. She got it for me for Christmas. It's the Millennium Falcon. It's a Lego. Pretty cool, huh? Her and her husband are getting ready to the PCS to Fort Campbell, and she wanted to put this together before she left. Thought you'd like to see that. And then I also put up a couple of pictures on the wall, some of my old campaign signs from when I ran for office. And I won those 2 times. Let's see. So we got done with the American. So I have to tell you, when I was reading this letter, I did realize that they had not found out that we got beat at Quebec City. So I figured, I don't know that date, but I'm sure we'll find out. But I think it's like next week or the beginning of February when they got word that General Montgomery was killed and Colonel Benedict Arnold was wounded and we lost the battle. Okay? I'm going to look that up this afternoon. All right, so that's America 250. So our next is the Dalmatian guys, okay, or Dalmatian Texas Burgers. They are actually open today on Monday just for lunch between 11 and 2. And as I stated this morning, they're doing Star Wars trivia today. If you go in there and you answer your trivia questions, they're going to give you $1 off of your burger or give you $2 off of a burger in a side order. But they make homemade smash burgers and dogs, and all their ingredients are fresh, including the buns. They're located in the west side of Copperas Cove, behind Bush's Chicken, and they're, like I said, they're open Monday through Saturday for lunch, 11 to 2, and from 5:30 to 7 Tuesday through Saturday, unless they sell out. All right, cool. So that was the Dalmatian guys. Alrighty. So as we move along, before we get to the Bongino press announcements, I do have sad news that if you would listen to me this morning, we talked about a police officer in my hometown of Copperas Cove that was killed over the weekend. I'm going to show his stuff. I'm going to talk about him. All right. But I do believe he's the first one we've ever had been killed in the line of duty as far back as I can remember. And I've been here for since 2007. It's almost 20 years. And a buddy of mine that's watching, he said he's been here since I think 1983 or something like that. And he still doesn't remember one being killed in the line of duty. So let me see. I'm going to transition over. I'm going to read the announcement from Copperas Cove Police Department. It is with profound sadness that we confirm the line of duty death of Officer Elijah Garrettson, badge number 118. At our request, the Texas Rangers are conducting an investigation into an officer-involved shooting that occurred on January 10th, 2026, which resulted in the on-duty death of Officer Garrettson. The suspect was later located, and following a lengthy negotiation attempt, the suspect took his life. As we begin to navigate this incredible, difficult time, we ask for understanding and patience as our department, Officer Garrettson's family, and our law enforcement family grieve this tremendous loss. Out of respect of those affected in an ongoing investigation, no further information is being released at this time. We ask the community to keep Officer Garrettson's loved ones and our department in their thoughts and prayers. We have, you see there's a picture of Officer Garrettson. This is a rough time for our city. It's a very rough time of our city. Before I go any further with talking about him, I want to do a moment of silence just for a moment, okay? And just remember him and his family. All right. So just a few things about Elijah. Elijah was an Army veteran, and he's from New Hampshire, and he served the Army, and I guess he got out of the Army here at Fort Hood, and he's got a 5-year-old daughter, and he's engaged. He graduated from the police academy last June and got engaged in July. This is terrible news, and I've never met him. I know people that do know him, and I know a lot of Copperas Cove police officers, but this is rough. I just found out about a half hour ago that he was actually in the Army. But man, I'm going to put his picture up one more time before we get going, okay? Alrighty. All right, so next on the Bongino, on the JP8 report, we got the Bongino report, okay? The Dan Bongino show, I'm sorry. Boy, I mixed up with that last one I just did. Wow. Okay, so Dan Bongino, he's going to start back on the 2nd of February. His time slot is going to be on the Eastern time zone. It's going to be 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern time. And at the same time, is this the one that shows it? Now, this is the first one. I got 2 press releases I'm going to read to you real quick, okay? And it's Dan Bongino, so we got to give him the time because he belongs to us, right? All right, so let me transition over. All right. the Freedom First technology platform today announced that it is entered into an exclusive video and live streaming distribution agreement with the Dan Bongino Show. Dan Bongino will return to podcasting with the relaunch of the show beginning February 2nd, 2026. The agreement grants Rumble exclusive video distribution rights, making it the only platform where audience can watch the show's daily live stream. The audio-only version of the program will be available across all major podcast platforms. Westwood One will serve as the exclusive sales partner for the Dan Bongino Show. The relaunch marks Bongino's most extensive digital commitment to date, designed to meet growing audience demand for long-form and in-depth content. The show will stream weekdays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern and will feature a headline analysis, guest interviews, cultural commentary, and highly engaging listener segments. I'm excited to get back behind the mic and reconnect directly with the audience, said Bongino. This show has always been about cutting through the noise and talking honestly with what matters. We're coming back bigger, bolder, and always unfiltered, exactly how people want it. The 2-hour format strengthens the show's position as a major voice in independent media, offering a daily destination for people seeking commentary in a long-form, on-demand format. Audiences can watch full episodes exclusively on Rumble and listen to the podcast across multiple platforms. We're thrilled to welcome Dan Bongino back to Rumble. His voice has been a cornerstone of free speech and independent media, and his return marks a powerful moment for our platform, and said Rumble CEO Chris Pavlovski. Dan Bongino was always number one live streamer most days, and on some days he was the number one streamer on the planet. Having Dan's live stream exclusively on Rumble marks a new era, one where Rumble takes the lead going into the 2026 midterms. And says Rumble and Cumulus Media Westwood One enjoyed a strong strategic partnership, which was announced last August. The partnership maximizes advertising opportunities for brand partners by packaging assets and to create a unique and exclusive media platform solutions. And is a Rumble is a freedom first technology platform with the mission of to protect a free and open internet. The platform spans cloud, AI, and digital media, including its namesake video service, and is built on a foundation of customer independence and free speech. If you notice, I'm wearing the same shirt as he is. Wow. See? That's cool. All right. So Dan is on his way back on February 2nd. And then I have another one. All right. I have another one. It's from Silverlock, which owns all three of the main shows. Okay. So for immediate release, Dan Bongino announces return to broadcasting with a 2-hour show on Westwood One and Rumble. Conservative commentator, best-selling author, and former FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino will return to broadcasting on February 2nd, 2026 with a brand new 2-hour daily program airing Wednesdays from 10 a.m. to 12 noon Eastern. The show will be exclusively live streamed on Rumble and distributed on demand on all major audio podcast platforms, bringing Bongino's unique insider perspective back to his loyal audience following a year of government service. Westwood One will serve as the exclusive sales partner for the Dan Bongino Show. Bongino stepped away from his previous show in early 2025 to serve as Deputy Director of the FBI under President Donald J. Trump. During that time, he helped initiate key personnel and operational reforms within the Bureau and described the experience as the honor of a lifetime. Bongino's return would be part of a new daily lineup on Rumble that includes, now pay attention to this, people, 8 a.m. Vince. Vince is moving from 10 to 8, right? For people in my time zone, that's 7 a.m. you get to listen to Vince. And then at 10 a.m. Eastern, Dan Bongino. And then at 12 noon Eastern, Haley is moving to 12 noon with her show. It's going to call Scrolling with Haley Carnia. All right. The new version of Dan Bongino's show will expand on its legacy with a renewed focus on Washington insights, behind the scenes details from his time in government, and a message of hope. All right. So meanwhile, back to my picture. You get to see my ugly mug. So a couple comments about this. So Vince is moving to 7 my time. Well, we'll keep it on Eastern times, okay? So the questions is Chad Prather with Before the Noise going to move this 7 a.m. Eastern, which would be 6 a.m. Central, right? With his Before the Noise, which I listen to all the time. And then the other one is Graham Allen is staying at his 9 a.m. slot, which is 8 a.m. Central. And then the big news is at 11 Eastern, Louder with Crowder comes on. Well, if you look, 10 to 12 is the Dan Bongino show, and then 12 to 1 Eastern is Haley. Where does Louder with Crowder fit in, and where does Tim Pool fit in? There's some questions that's going to filter out. Am I going to be able to do my show at noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern, like I have been doing for a while now? Or am I going to have to regress and do it early in the morning and feed in like the Vince or something? I don't know at this moment. All I'm elated that we know that Dan Bongino is coming back on the air, and he's going to do it for 2 hours. And I hope, I use Rumble Premium all the time, but I hope he's open broadcast the whole time. Because the rest of us that they use premium only, we can make up for it, but Mr. Bongino is going to drive the numbers back to a Rumble and make it even bigger and better than what it was before he left to go to the FBI. So that's one of the things I'm waiting for is to happen itself. But that is going to be really awesome. I cannot wait. So I'm going to mark those two off. I'm going to get a drink of tea real quick. All right. So the next thing I want to read on the JP8 report, it's about a federal judge that ruled against Mamdani's brand spanking new housing plan. Okay, this is off Fox Business. Says a federal judge, I don't know which federal judge it was, a federal judge blocked New York City's Mayor Zoran Mamdani's effort to intervene in a sale of thousands of rent-stabilized rental properties on Thursday. Mamdani's administration had sought to slow the sale of the properties after tenants complained that the seller, Pinnacle Group, had poorly maintained the properties and were concerned that the prospective buyer, Summit Properties USA, would have similar issues. Mamdani's administration attempted to intervene, and he's only been in office a week and a half, on the basis of being a creditor to Pinnacle. The company owes the city over $12 million in unpaid fines, according to Gothamist. Jones could approve the sale to Summit as soon as this Thursday, that's 3 days from now, but Mamdani's administration said they are looking at options. We will continue to fight to ensure any owner of this portfolio makes necessary repairs to bring the buildings up to code and respects the rent stabilization regulations, Liesl Borzeg, the city's deputy mayor for housing, told the outlet. The court defeat comes on the heels of another controversy that bruised Mamdani's housing agenda, namely his hiring of Sia, I'm going to confiscate all your property, Weaver, to lead the mayor's office to protect tenants. Weaver has previously stated that her home ownership is a weapon of white supremacy, and argued that property should be treated as a collective good. Straight out of Russia in the 1920s, really. Mayor Mamdani's administration says it is weighing the options of how to proceed in the Pinnacle Group sale. Amid the controversies over her comments, Weaver says she regretted some of her past comments. While she did not specify which of the segments she regretted, Weaver said she aims to tackle racial inequalities while serving New Yorkers. Once they start taking from one group, they're going to end up taking from all groups. So don't think this is a white supremacy, white property ownership thing. It's going to end up like if you own property, you're going to give it to the government type problem. So don't believe the hype when it comes to these communists that are talking such really cool things to you, okay? And so she says, I want to make sure that everybody has a safe and affordable place to live, whether they rent or own, and that is something I'm laser focused at in this new role. Yeah, sure. Okay. If you believe that, I have a bridge to sell you in Arizona. Or let me rephrase that. I got some oceanfront property along with a bridge in Arizona. All right? If anyone have any comments on that, they would like to chat that one in, because I really don't trust these people from New York at all. Because this is utterly ridiculous on breaking news. Jose Seguero resigns from city council in Killeen, Texas, because he's going to run for mayor. He's going to file at the end of this week. If you're from Killeen, you would know that now. So the next thing I wanted to read, where does this one tie in at? Federal Reserve. Oh, right there. Okay. I marked it off. Okay. So Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell is under federal investigation for fraud and misleading Congress. This just came out within the last 24 hours. He went on air yesterday and made some type of video statement. And like Vince was saying, they didn't even mic up him. This guy makes hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. They didn't even mic him up for the conversation. He said that they had a fuzzy cat mic. It's one of those fuzzy microphones that they hang above you, where just out of the screen, where no one can see it, and it absorbs every single sound that is made when it happens, right? Instead of doing a professional mic right here. That might be something I want to try one day. That'd be pretty cool. But It says the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia, that'd be Janine Pereiro, has opened a criminal investigation into Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, focusing on the renovation of the central bank's Washington headquarters and whether he was truthful in his congressional testimony about the project. Officials told the New York Times that this was the first, which was the first to report on the probe, which is remarkable, right? Because that's where democracy goes to die. That's the New York Times, which is the first to report the probe, that it centers on whether Powell accurately characterized the scope and cost of the renovation during the congressional appearances. I got something to add to that in just a second. Powell confirmed to the Federal Reserve Powell confirmed the Federal Reserve had been served, and he said he respected the rule of law and congressional oversight, but described the Justice Department's move as unprecedented and politically motivated. The new threat is not about my testimony last June or about the renovation of the Federal Reserve buildings, Powell said in a video statement Sunday evening. The threat of criminal charges is a consequence of the Federal Reserve's setting interest rates based on the best assessment of what will serve the public, rather than following the preferences of the president, he added. And he said the White House did not immediately respond to Fox News Digital's request for comment. Well, if you think 25, 26, 30, 35% interest rates are good for the consumer, I think you need to take a step back and go find another job, Mr. Powell. All right, because it doesn't work like that. President Donald Trump and the Federal Reserve, Powell speaking during the tour of the Federal Reserve building, which is, that was a picture. Tensions between President Trump and Powell have simmered over the central bank's interest rate decisions and broader monetary policies. Trump has instructed the Fed to cut rates, which he says could save the nation hundreds of billions of dollars, if not trillions, man. Powell set the benchmark at 4.25% or 4 to 4.5 as the Fed took a wait-and-see approach to assess the impact of Trump's sweeping tariffs. While the central bank has lowered rates, Trump's attacks on Powell, which he appointed in 2017, has increasingly taken on a more personal tone, including the use of mocking nicknames. Hold on just a second. All right. Okay. And the strained relationship has increased beyond monetary policy. The renovation of the Federal Reserve's main office buildings in Washington's Foggy Bottom neighborhood is estimated to cost, hope you're sitting down, $2.5 billion is being funded by the central bank itself, not by taxpayers. Well, that money's got to come from somewhere. I don't think they're holding bake sales on the side street selling lemonade and hot dogs. That money comes from something, and eventually it comes from the consumer. But $2.5 trillion, that is a cost overrun of hundreds of millions of dollars. What I was going to say about that, let me kick my feet in. What I was going to say about that is, well, I used to be in the remodeling business, and I would never do a cost plus project. I always did cost fix. And the difference between the two is when you do cost fixed, the price that you sign for is your final price, right? You don't go back and say, well, the fridge is broken, the doors are cracked, the windows are missing, and oh, I got to add all this money to your $1 million or $1 billion project. Now it's like $1.5 billion and all this stuff. Well, I did cost fix, which is the amount you pay is the amount you sign for, not cost plus, where this is the basis, and then we're going to give you receipts and show you the real amount you're going to pay after everything's said and done. I don't think that's really fair. I don't think that's fair for taxpayers. If you're going to give a legitimate quote to a customer for a project, you need to actually be truthful with them and then give them the right quote, right? All right. I don't know if I was on my high horse enough about that, but that's how I ran mine. It's only being fair. All right. We're 35 minutes in, so don't forget, if you're tuning in live or on demand, please click the follow button if you're not already a follower, and also if you are what do you call it? If click that follow button and click that like button, and then please click the share. And also, like I was saying earlier, Rumble has a tip button now, so you can leave a tip just for me without having to go through Rumble through the subscribe button and stuff. You can go directly to me and stuff. They started this last Monday. Take advantage of it if you want. If you feel like I deserve a tip, leave a tip on there. It's a green button right beside where it says the JP8 report. It says tip on it. All right. So next thing we want to talk about is what do I have on here? DNC. I want to read that one first. So Ken Martin is the Democrat National Convention chairperson right now. He took over for Jamie Davidson, Daniel, whatever his name is. But yeah, this guy took over just a few months ago. And his name is Ken Martin. He's obviously from Minnesota. All right. He wanted to compare the U.S. to Iran, claiming the administration is killing protesters. I don't even understand where he's even coming to that point. He's got to be way out there. All right? It's like Ilhan Omar saying the U.S. is disappearing people from the streets of America. And she's a whole different subject. The DNC chairman, and I got this from the New York Post, DNC chair Ken Martin likened mass protests in Iran to demonstrations in the U.S. over the fatal shooting of Renee Good by an ICE agent Sunday. He said it on Sunday, accusing both governments of terrorizing communities. Martin, who led the Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party, he's a flaming socialist, for 14 years before being elected DNC boss this past February, a year ago, claimed that both countries are killing protesters and declared that Minnesota won't be last. From Tehran to my birthplace in Minneapolis, people are rising up against stems that wield violence without accountability, Martin posted on X. In Iran, brave protesters confront far-right rhetoric regime that crushes dissent and denies basic freedoms, he continued. Here at home, tens of thousands of marchers after the fatal ICE shooting of Renee Good, demanding justice, transparency, and an end of unchecked federal force. At least 544 people have been killed and more than 10,681 arrested by Islamic Republic since demonstration began December 28th amid a deepening economic crisis rolling in Shia regime, according to U.S.-based human rights activist news agency. And demonstrations initially broke out in cities across Iran due to frustration with soaring inflation, currency depreciation, and higher food prices, and quickly featured calls for the end of the theocratic regime and return to the pre-1979 monarchy. And that was the basis of the U-Haul attack in Los Angeles. Tehran initially responded by cutting off internet access and international phone service before escalating to violence over the weekend. Meanwhile, cities across the United States saw protests over the weekend in response to the killing of Good by ICE officer, and I won't say his name to protect it, after she accelerated her SUV toward him and actually hit him with her vehicle. In comparing the U.S. to Iran, what makes you angry and ask why? Killing protesters or crushing dissent? Kidnapping and disappearing legal citizens? Ignoring courts? Threatening critics and terrorizing communities? Martin said in response to criticism of incendiary comments. Doesn't have a clue what's going on. These people are here illegally. There's millions of convicted felons in our country that don't even have a visa to be here. And why should we leave them here at all? They keep killing people. They keep killing people left and right. And so I don't know if Ken Martin's ever held public office his entire life. He might have been playing behind the roles the whole time, but I think he's out there in left field. All right. Okay, I'm checking something out real quick. Okay, I'm back. All right. So, and then to continue on with Minnesota, Tom Emmers, I think that's his name. Tom Emmers wants Tim Walz to resign from office and in cuffs. Okay, the highest-ranking national Republican from Minnesota said he hopes embattled Governor Tim Walz ends his tenure in handcuffs due to a fraud scandal engulfing the state. House Majority Whip Tom Emmer blasted Walz over the rampant social services fraud under his watch and the accusations of retaliation that state whistleblowers leveled against his administration. He has not held anyone accountable in his administration. He's a coward, Emmer told the Post during a brief interview on Thursday. He refuses to take accountability for himself. I think he should resign. This is so bad. And regardless, I hope he leaves office in cuffs because what he has done is criminal. Hey, they call a spade, and this is what's happening. And the fact is that he's even talking about not even appearing, I believe it's the 10th of February before Congress, because Walz and Ellison were both asked to come to the House Oversight Committee and with James Comer, and I believe Ellison said he would be there, but Tim Walz, I think he said he had a scheduling conflict and he wasn't able to attend. So I would highly suggest Tim Walz to show up. Wow, wasted paper. Okay, what we got here? We'll put this over here. All right. And don't forget to click that follow button. And don't forget to click that like button and share. And then if you want, leave a tip. And then I'm going to read this real quick for y'all, okay? All right. Looking for a comfortable but unique option for your gaming setup? Check out TetanusSportUSA.com. With a wide range of ergonomic chairs in an easy array of colors, you will definitely bring your setup to the next level. Always comfy, never boring, and Tetanus Sport. And then use the code RUMBLE for 10% off of your entire order. Now I'm going to spell it, all right? It's TetanusSportUSA.com and use the code RUMBLE for 10% off. All right? TetanusSportUSA.com. And their stuff looks good. I might want to get one of these days. That'd be cool. All right. So I read that, and then I wanted to show y'all the slide for that one. Hold on. This came from the New York Post. That is an excellent cover photo for everyone to see. Man. $9 billion. And they say that's the minimum of what it could be. Let's see. Do I want to do this one? Okay. So go back. Yep. All right. So this is just a slide I want to show you. The president wrote this, and it no more paper. The president wrote this, and about Cuba. Cuba lived for many years on large amounts of oil and money from Venezuela. In return, Cuba provided security services, but for the last two Venezuelan dictators, but not anymore. Most of those Cubans are dead from last week's USA attack, and Venezuela doesn't need protection. Anyone from the thugs and extortionists who held them hostage for many years. Venezuela now has the United States of America, the most powerful military in the world by far, to protect them, and protect them we will. There will be no more oil or money going to Cuba. Zero. Strongly suggest that make a deal before it's too late. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President DJT. The president's got a point there. All right. So if you ever look at video or pictures from Russia, right? You see old cars, you see poor people. I mean, they were talking about 80% of the people in Venezuela are poor condition physically, probably mentally and economically. You just need to go across the Caribbean Sea to Cuba and see how they're living. Right now, they have no resources they can export at all except for cigars, and I don't even think you can buy them in the United States. But the cars are like ancient. I know a lot of mechanics who like to go down there and fix those cars because they're still normal. They're not computerized things, right? But they have to import all their oil. The only thing they have to export is military. That's all. There's really not much more that they could actually do. And since the resources have dried up, since the change in leadership in Venezuela, the odds of them, the odds are not all in their favor. Let's put it like that. Because I'd be willing to bet my buddies that I actually talked to that inside of the year, by the end of 2026, I bet the Cuban government will fall without anything coming from the United States. It'll collapse from within. They're a paper tiger. They have nothing to live on, especially since their oil imports from Venezuela have dried up. The only thing they can get stuff from is from Russia, and then Russia has an oil embargo on it also. So, hold on. News bulletin. Trump's ominous two-word warning. Trump's ominous two-word warning if Supreme Court rules against tariffs, emergency tariffs. Hold on just a second. Give me a second. I'm going to pull up. Where is it? I'm going to go and see what they said about that. Oh, here it is. Hold on just a second. I'll tell you right now. It's coming up as soon as it loads. There we go. Oh, he said we're screwed. Okay, that's right. Okay. President Trump declared Monday that the U.S. would be screwed if the Supreme Court rules against reciprocal tariff policies, ruling that the feds would have to pay back billions of revenue collected over the past year. If the Supreme Court rules against the United States of America on its national security bonanza, we're screwed. And he put that on Truth Social. Boy, I may have to remember that for tomorrow. But wow, the actual numbers that we would have to pay back for any reason Supreme Court were to rule against the United States of America on tariffs would be hundreds of billions of dollars, and that does include any amount of payback that countries and companies would require for the investments they're making in plants, factories, and equipment for the purpose of being able to avoid payments of their tariffs. Wow. Supreme Court is poised to rule as early as Wednesday on whether Trump could use emergency powers. So we are still waiting for word on Wednesday now. Last week it was Friday, and they pushed it out to Wednesday for the announcement from the Supreme Court. And there's another ruling from the Supreme Court too that they're debating on also. So not debating on, but voting on to get published and stuff. It's weird how the Supreme Court does their decisions and stuff, because they hold multiple votes on the same subject matter, and they write all kinds of opinions and stuff to it. If you didn't know. Okay, let me get back over to here. All right. So let me get a drink here. That's what's cool about being in this new studio. I have access to 3 monitors, right? And so I could have each individual one doing the same. So over here on this one, I have Rumble Studio, but I have my tabs from my different news agencies that I do my articles from and stuff. So it makes it easier to go back and do more. All right. So we'll get back to what's going on. I'm running out of time. So we're going to go over to the Texas scorecard. All right. Which, if you're not from Texas, you need to look them up. It's they have an email that put out at 6 a.m. every Monday through Friday. It's called the Texas Minute, right? So the Texas Supreme Court rejects the state agency that is attempting to misinterpret religious freedom. Okay, so what it means is the Texas Supreme Court, it's SCOTX, SCOTX, has clarified that judges may publicly refuse to perform same-sex weddings while continuing to perform opposite-sex weddings in what is being celebrated as a big win for religious liberty. The opinion, dated January 9th, clears up confusion that the State Commission on Judicial Conduct, that's that state agency, has been accused of intentionally misinterpreting a comment from the court that added to Canon 4 of the Texas Code of Judicial Conduct in October. The comment made clear that judges who refuse to perform same-sex weddings, but the commission claimed in legal filings that it meant judges could not at the same time choose to perform opposite-sex weddings. As previously reported, McLennan County Justice of Peace Diane Hensley, which is Waco, has issued public warning in 2019 that the SCJC for officiating heterosexual weddings while referring to same-sex couples to a minister that would help them, citing her religious beliefs. The commission found Hensley to be in violation of the section of Canon 4, which states, a judge shall conduct all the judge's extrajudicial activities so they cannot cast reasonable doubt on the judge's capacity to act impartially as a judge. And then Hensley filed a lawsuit against them, claiming the interpretation of the Canon 4 Alpha 1 was incorrect and violates her exercise of religion. And Jack County Judge Brian Upress then filed a federal lawsuit challenging the commission's application of Canon 4 against Hensley, contending it's unconstitutional. And then the U.S. Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals said it could not decide whether this section of Canon 4 is unconstitutional because Texas law has yet to establish whether the SCJC's interpretation was correct. I can see this going back to court. And since it's cleared the Supreme Court of Texas, I believe it's going to cross over into federal court now. All right? And the other thing I wanted to read also comes from the Texas scorecard. No, I'm not out of paper, Rob. He keeps asking me that. All right. So, Tarrant County GOP challenges Democrat judicial candidates' ballot filings. This is from Addie Hovland. She wrote this on January 9th also. All right. The Tarrant County GOP is moving forward to disqualify 7 Democrat judicial candidates from the March primary, accusing them of failing to meet legal mandatory filing requirements that render their ballot applications invalid under Texas law. Tarrant County GOP Chair Tim Davis cites numerous clear failures by the Democrat judicial candidates to comply with mandatory provisions of the Texas Election Code and is demanding that Tarrant County Democrat Party Chair Party declare the candidates ineligible for the upcoming primary election in March. Elections begin with integrity of the process, Chairman Davis said. If you can't follow the rules, to get on the ballot, you can't be trusted to enforce them from the bench. Our Republican judges have modeled competence, diligence, and fidelity to the rules through the years of steady, distinguished service, while Democrat candidates keep cutting corners. The challenges were submitted to Democrat Party Chair Allison Campolo on Tuesday and provide multiple examples of defects in required petitions, affidavits, and judicial application procedures. Chairman Davis said in his submission that the filing authority's duty under the Texas Education Code is to review it should be election code is to review applications for compliance and to reject those who do not meet all requirements. He emphasized the petition application forms must be strictly adhered to for judicial candidates, and that non-compliant filings are legally insufficient for ballot placement. The candidates under scrutiny for allegedly cutting corners in completing the required forms and disclosures are Rodney Lee, Justice of the Peace, Precinct 4, Catherine Kate Kim, 236 District Court, Billy Willett, 323rd District Court, Courtney Miller, 432nd District Court, Andrew Griffin, 325th District Court, Julia Billimer, County Criminal Court Number 5, and Lisa Pamplin, Criminal Court Number 9. County Criminal Court Number 9. Davis called upon Campolo to uphold Texas election laws by rejecting these candidates who have failed to submit or submitted defective required forms. According to the GOP's letter, numerous Texas courts have held non-compliance with these mandatory requirements renders the candidate's filing insufficient and subject to rejection. He has a right. You know, the Texas election code is pretty thick, but it's easily to figure out, right? That's what they make lawyers for. All they need to do is get in there and figure this out and then go forward. All right? That's crazy. That's crazy. Every single one of those judicial, and it's not hard. I mean, these candidates don't spend a whole lot of money campaigning. They spend a lot of money filing, but not campaigning. And yes, you don't have to be a lawyer to be a justice of the peace, but you still have to understand what you have to do to get elected. And the Texas election code goes a long way to make sure most of it's as fair as humanly possible, right? But hats off to the Tarrant County, my hometown, because I'm from Fort Worth, Texas, and more power to him. Bo French taught him a lot before he resigned to run for Railroad Commission. All right, so I read those. What are our time? We're at 1:02. So I'm just going to end that here. I got an important thing I got to go do. Since we're talking about election stuff, I'm going to have to split the scene because I have. So really quick, I'm not even going to do premium today. I'll make up for it tomorrow because I know we're reading Common Sense. Wait a minute, we've got breaking news. Democrat Senator Mark Kelly sues Pete Hegseth over censure efforts. Okay. Yeah, more drama. He shouldn't have said what he said about the president. So I'm doing campaign interviews. I got 2 of them today. I got one at 3 p.m., one at 6 p.m. They're both running for county commissioner. I got another one tomorrow at 3 p.m. He's running for county commissioner also. And then tomorrow night at 6, I have the Copperas Cove Conservative Club at Giovanni's at 6 p.m. If you're watching this, spread the word. You're more than welcome to come out and hear candidates speak because they're going to have 3 to 5 minutes each. While I'm doing that, from 5:30 to 7:30 in Killeen, Doc Chambers, he's running for governor against Greg Abbott. He's going to be at the Killeen Civic Center. And while that's going on over in Lampasas, somewhere in La Paz. I can't remember. I didn't write it down. But there is a forum for candidates in La Paz County, part of the Texas First Conservative Alliance or something like that. And most of the congressional candidates for CD 31 are going out there. So we have a lot going on in the next few days and stuff. And then tomorrow I got labs. And then Wednesday at 11 I have an actual VA appointment. All right. So, So I will see y'all tomorrow. And I'll let you know how the vampire took the blood out of my veins, right? So here are my socials. You can find me on James Pierce Jr. On X, on Facebook at James A. Pierce Jr. There's my ScrewTube page. All right. And then Truth Social, James A. Pierce. And if you want to send me an email, jp8report@gmail.com. If you're a candidate and you want me to interview and you're in the Bell County, in Bell County and Coryell County areas and you're running for office, just write me at jp8report@gmail.com and then I'll get back to you and schedule you, okay? I got 3 more out there that are pending right now. So we got a little bit of time. The primary is March 3rd, all right? But early bird catches the worm, right, guys? And so I'm going to let y'all go and get ready for these interviews. And I got to turn in my campaign finance report, all right? So this is James Pierce with the JP8 report. I'll catch you on the flip side. I'm out.